Do you know when you've been drinking and you wonder to yourself, is it safe to drive? Can I drive? Am I sober enough? And you look inside and you go, yeah, I'm fine. And you get in the car and then you get pulled over and you find that you're over the limit, right? Why does this happen? Why do people get pulled over for DUIs all the time? It's because the thing that's checking if they're drunk is itself drunk, right? So you can look at someone else and go, yeah, you're clearly over the limit. You're clearly done. You shouldn't drive. You're wasted. But that person, the thing that's going to judge it, the thing that's going to introspect, that's going to look inside and go, am I too drunk? Is itself drunk, right? I use that same logic for my own mental health and how I treat and react to other people. It's, in the past, I would look at people and look at how they're acting and take things personally. I would think in black and white terms. I would misread social cues. I would feel like I'm being attacked and like I'm the victim. Now, what I realized is in the same way that a drunk person can't easily tell when, how drunk they are, in the moments when I'm struggling with my mental health and I'm going through this path and I'm feeling attacked, knowing that I've got those issues suggests to me that I'm not in a place to be able to judge the reality of the social cues and what's actually happening. Because the thing that's doing that judging is itself impacted by the mental illness. This is like using hardcore logic to counter strong emotions. Now, there's obviously some caveats to this. If there's an issue of consent, if there's a strong no, and you're being pushed, you do what you can to leave the situation. But secondly, and more directly, how do you know if people aren't being mean? If you apply this logic and go, well, okay, I can't exactly judge the situation fully because I have a mental illness, my judgment may be compromised, and it has been in the past. The thing judging the interaction is itself impacted by the mental illness. How do you know if people are toxic? Or how do you know if they should be out of your life? Well, I look at it from a couple of perspectives. I go over a trend. How do I feel about this person or this event every time? Not just right now when I'm highly emotional and potentially, thinking with flawed thinking patterns. What do I think over a long period of time? Having a diary and a journal helps. Met this person, did this activity, felt this way. Bang, 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 and I go, okay, well, it's clear that I think this. Alternatively, I will sleep on it. I'll step back and detach. And I'll look back on it and go, okay, well, now that I'm in a calm, controlled mental state, when I'm safe and I'm away from everything, what do I actually think? I'll also play devil's advocate and think about it from the other person's perspective and give them the benefit of the doubt. What could have they meant if I assume that they have good intentions? Now, what often happens is that I realize, okay, my brain's playing tricks on me. Okay, it's doing those same old thinking patterns. And if I was to act on it, I would have regretted it. But there are times where I'm like, no, this person really is toxic, or no, I really don't like this activity. And when I know that, then I can take actions to leave that situation. I can take actions to protect and to guard my mental state. But one thing that I've learned also on top of this is to not burn bridges. I don't just hardcore cut anyone or anything anymore because I've done so in the past and my desires have changed. I've regretted that decision. I've burnt the bridge hard and left no recourse for that relationship. Now, this isn't to say that some people shouldn't be cut completely, but you never know what will happen in the future. You never know if you'll need them or if you'll want them or if any number of things. It's always better to leave the option open. You don't have to go through a typical breakup, as in say, this is what you did, this is why I hate you and never see me again, and just ream them. A better approach is to just step back and slowly distance yourself. You're always busy, you can't get there, there's something on, etc., etc., etc. Take a while to return the calls. Just slowly separate yourself. You can leave the option open, but you're not cutting it off completely. This can help to rekindle relationships just in case, or keep them idling. You don't have to burn bridges. So, in the same way that when someone's drunk, they can't judge their internal mental state, it's sometimes hard for people that are struggling with mental duress to judge their own mental state and to judge the impacts and the actions and the intentions of people external to them. So potentially you should consider taking a break, stepping back, journaling, thinking about it. I've personally found that a practice of meditation can help me to do this. It helps me to detach and to step back, because I'm looking at meditation helps you to see your thoughts as something separate and distinct from you. So every time you meditate, you're here and your thoughts are there, right? They're far away from you, which means that you see them a little bit stepped back, which means that when these thoughts, these triggers, this idea of splitting, all of these issues comes into play, you're not stuck in it, you're not drawn into it. And that's allowed me to go, okay, this is what I was operating on. These thoughts that I can see now, that I don't have to jump into, this is where my brain was. So no wonder I was making poor choices that I would later regret. No wonder I was falling into and out of things stupidly quick. No wonder I was struggling, because I was stuck here. Now with meditation, with journaling, with detachment, with perspective, with experience, with applying this logical approach to judging situations, I'm able to make better choices. My psychologist put this quite succinctly. When you're overly emotional, employ logic. If you're stuck in logic, if you're rigid, start employing emotions, right? Find that middle ground and that balance between the two. Because if you're too emotional, you're volatile. You're going up and down, up and down, up and down. It's crazy town. And if you're too logical, you're too rigid, you're stuck. There's no humanity, there's no joy. We need to find a balance between both. So I like to use this logical approach to calm the emotions down. And then I also like to engage with and feel with and connect with emotions, so that I'm not too, black and white and hard line down that other side of approaches, because both aren't functional, right? That emotional volatility is great, and then it's terrible, and it's great, and then it's terrible. And the hardline logical black and white thinking is just middle ground, and it's rigid, it's robotic, it's not fun. What do you think of this? Consider it. And if you know anyone that struggles with that high level of emotional volatility that cuts people off, typically the symptomology is common with people with bipolar or BPD or complex post-traumatic stress. Obviously there's a variety of issues, and it could just be a personality thing as well. But potentially, if you're just feeling overly emotional, wait, just take a breath. Take a day before you decide to cut people and things from your life, because you might regret it. And, for those of you out there, you don't need to dye your hair. You don't need to get that tattoo. You don't need to shave off everything, right? Take a breath before you take that action. Do it the next day. That's okay. But just don't do it in that heat of the moment, because you probably will regret it. Catch.